prices, bigger paychecks. We're getting inflation. We're crushing it.
I do want to talk about the economy, sir, here at home, and I wonder what grade you would give
A plus.
A plus.
Yeah, A plus, 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 plus.
Well, people are buying their holiday presents. They're planning.
Look, don't be dramatic.
No.
Don't be dramatic.
So let's talk about the tariffs. And I want to ask you about something you said this week. Got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls. Look, don't be dramatic.
No.
Don't be dramatic. Selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls, you know. And maybe the 2 dolls will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. Look, don't be dramatic.
No.
Don't be dramatic. In order to try and negotiate, some countries played a little cute, and we just gave them right out of a tariff money, cost us nothing, right out of the hundreds of billions that we've taken in. We gave the farmers a little help, $12 billion, and they are so happy. And all they want is a level playing field. And now it's happening, and the tariffs are making them rich. Look, don't be dramatic.
The president's trip comes as many Americans face economic uncertainties and struggle with higher prices. At the White House Monday, Trump unveiled a $12 billion aid package for farmers impacted by his tariff policy.
The administration says the farm aid package will boost farmers who've struggled to sell their crops while also getting hit by rising costs after he raised tariffs earlier this year.
Look, don't be dramatic.
If you've made a commitment to build, or if you're in the process of building, as many are, there is no tariff. Going to be very rich.
The new tariffs could raise prices on popular products like clothing made in Asia, groceries including coffee, bananas, and orange juice from Brazil facing a steep 50% tariff. And electronics will also be affected. Notably, Trump announced a 100% tariff on all chips and semiconductors coming into the United States, but offering one exception for companies building in the U.S.
If you've made a commitment to build, or if you're in the process of building, as many are, there is no tariff.
Standing next to Apple CEO Tim Cook.
Going to be very rich.
Standing next to Apple CEO Tim Cook. Going to be very rich.
So we have groceries are down. Energy is way down. It was $4 and $5 for a gallon of gas. Think of that for gasoline. And now it's probably $2.25.
We reached out to the White House and asked for specifics. They didn't get back to us. So for this fact check, we looked at federal data. For gas prices, we turned to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. And for groceries, we looked at food prices tracked by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. They track a bunch of items individually. And here's what that data showed at the time of Trump's meeting. You can see that prices are down on some items like eggs, bread, and energy as a whole. That means when we look at things like gasoline, propane, and kerosene altogether, the prices are down. But if we look at electricity by itself, those prices are up. And so are the costs of things like ground beef and bacon, which are up more than 10%. Remember, the president made a blanket statement about food and energy both being down. Obviously, that's not the case.
Going to be very rich. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic.
President Trump and his family are making hundreds of millions, potentially billions of dollars, as Trump and his administration take official actions that benefit contributors and investors. Just this week, we learned of pardons to tax cheats, including a man whose pardon was granted weeks after his mother attended a $1 million head fundraiser with the president.
A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator.
The Trump Media and Technology Group raised nearly $2.5 billion from 50 institutional investors whose identities have not been disclosed.
A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator.
The SEC dropped its lawsuit against the cryptocurrency firm Binance days after Binance began listing the cryptocurrency launched by World Liberty Financial, the crypto firm started by Trump's family.
A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator.
This unprecedented money making by a sitting president and his family, summarized by critics like The Atlantic's David Frum. Nothing like this has been attempted or even imagined in the history of the American presidency, he writes. Throw away the history books, discard feeble comparisons to scandals of the past. There is no analogy with any previous action by any past president. The brazenness of the self-enrichment resembles nothing seen in any earlier White House. This is American corruption on the scale of a post-Soviet republic or a post-colonial African dictatorship.
A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. The real numbers that I'm talking about are going to be whatever it is, but we'll be in a year from now. You'll see job numbers that are going to be absolutely incredible.
Tonight's rally was one of several he has planned. The reason he's out talking about the economy is because he wants to convince us that it's good, which it isn't, but we also don't know how bad it is because they stopped reporting job numbers. It's like if the NBA just quit keeping score. We won.
This morning, President Trump downplaying the latest disappointing jobs report.
They'll say you're losing jobs, and then they'll say, by the way, we have a correction a month later.
Right now, we're puzzled about the BLS numbers and looking forward for new leadership there to make it so that the numbers are more reliable.
So looking forward for new leadership there to make it so that the numbers are more reliable.
A red day on Wall Street after President Trump did what he's famous for, firing people. This time, the head of labor statistic, Erica McIntyre, who Mr. Trump says, without evidence, isn't reporting accurate numbers. McIntyre not commenting. It comes after the Labor Department reported fewer jobs than expected were added in July, while also revising down by 258,000 the number of jobs created in June and May. On Truth Social, Mr. Trump posting, "We need accurate jobs numbers. I have directed my team to fire this Biden political appointee immediately."
So looking forward for new leadership there to make it so that the numbers are more reliable.
Experts say the U.S. labor market appears to be stalling. Employers adding only 22,000 jobs in August, and revised numbers showing 13,000 jobs lost in June. The first net loss of jobs since December 2020. Unemployment also ticking up slightly to 4.3% and rising to 6.7% for Black women, who have been among the hardest hit. Friday's data was the first report released since President Trump fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
So looking forward for new leadership there to make it so that the numbers are more reliable.
New this morning, data from payroll giant ADP shows small businesses are starting to crack amid a weakening economy and rising costs and fickle consumers. 32,000 jobs were lost last month, largest monthly drop in 2.5 years. Private employers have shed jobs in 4 of the past 6 months.
So looking forward for new leadership there to make it so that the numbers are more reliable.
Politicians will show up for parades, we'll wave those flags, we'll give our speeches about how much we love veterans. Politicians will show up for parades, we'll wave those flags, we'll give our speeches about how much we love veterans, but this is the proof. Yes, sir. What are we willing to do to give dignity to those veterans when they need that help the most?
U.S. Senator Dick Durbin joined veterans, nurses, union members, and local leaders outside Edward Hines Jr. VA Hospital in a rally to demand the Trump administration abandon plans to cut about 80,000 workers from the VA department.
We're facing cuts in the VA system that will really disable the VA system.
The rally was organized by National Nurses United. As of now, it's unclear what workers would be laid off.
We are so worried and so concerned and so afraid that we won't be able to give that quality care that the VA knows.
The Department of Veterans Affairs plans to abruptly eliminate as many as 35,000 healthcare positions this month, mostly unfilled jobs, including doctors, nurses, and support staff, according to an internal memo, VA staffers, and congressional aides. The cuts come after a massive reorganization effort already resulted in the loss of almost 30,000 employees this year. Agency leaders have instructed managers across the Veterans Health Administration, the agency's healthcare arm, to identify thousands of openings that can be canceled. Employees warn that the contraction will add pressure to an already stretched system, contributing to longer wait times for care. The decision comes after Veterans Affairs Secretary Douglas A. Collins, under political pressure from Congress, backed away from a plan to slash 15% of the agency's workforce through mass firings. Instead, VA lost almost 30,000 employees this year from buyout offers and attrition. The agency hopes that the cuts will reduce the healthcare workforce to as little as 372,000 employees, a 10% reduction from last year.
Starting on day one, we will end inflation and make America affordable again. Affordable again. Affordable again. Affordable again. There's this fake narrative that the Democrats talk about, affordability. They just say the word. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. Just say it. Affordability. I inherited the worst inflation in history. There was no affordability. Nobody could afford anything. The prices were massively high. The word affordability is a con job by the Democrats. The word affordability is a Democrat scam. Starting on day one, we will end inflation and make America affordable again. But the word affordability is a Democrat scam. One of my top priorities will be to quickly defeat inflation and make America affordable again. I don't want to hear about the affordability. We will make America affordable again. We're going to make it affordable again. You know, there's this fake narrative that the Democrats talk about, affordability. Affordability is a con job. We will target everything from car affordability to housing affordability. You know, this whole thing is, they use the word affordability. It's a Democrat hoax.
The car prices for consumers are down before you did.
Just about everything is down. You know, this whole thing is, they use the word affordability. It's a Democrat hoax. They're the ones that drove the prices up. And all they do is say, affordability, and you're supposed to say, oh, that means they had low prices. No, we inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but let's say that's history. I don't believe that. Biden had, because of his stupid ways and between his energy policies and his spending policies, we had the worst inflation in the history of our country. And now our prices are coming down. And they're coming down for cars, and they're coming down. I mean, did you hear yesterday when Chris Wright from Energy, the head of energy in our country, said there are now parts of our country, it's all happening, $1.99 for gasoline, a gallon. And we have it at $2.50, $2.60. It was at $5. And that's bigger than any tax cut we could give. And, you know, for the average family, that's considered bigger than any tax cut. Our prices now for energy, but for gasoline, are really low. Electricity's coming down. And when that comes down, everything comes down. But the word affordability is a Democrat scam. They say it, and then they go into the next subject. And everyone thinks, oh, they had lower prices. No, they had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now, some people will correct me, because they always love to correct me, even though I'm right about everything. Talk about the cost of Thanksgiving and the cost of living through Thanksgiving and enjoying Thanksgiving. For Joe Biden, it was 25% more
than it is for me. At a later time, our energy costs are way down, our groceries are way down, everything is way down, and the press doesn't report it. The press reports whatever the con people say. You know, I call the Democrats con men and women. They make up numbers. But when you look at 25% reduction in costs for Thanksgiving between Biden and me, meaning this administration, that's a tremendous number. It's the biggest reduction in cost in the history of that chart or whatever it is they do. That they do a synopsis of everything. They cover every element of Thanksgiving meals. 25% down. So I don't want to hear about the affordability.
At home, and I wonder what grade you would give.
A plus.
A plus.
Yeah, A plus, 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 plus.
Well, people are buying their holiday presents. They're planning.
Look, don't be dramatic.
No.
Don't be dramatic.
Look, don't be dramatic. No. Don't be dramatic.
I will vote for Donald Trump. You remember your